Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and I'm here to do the Bah Humbug tag. This was originally created by Kate over at Chapter Kate, so I will link them down below. I will also have the questions down below in case you would like to do this tag because I'm terrible at tagging people. Kate, however, isn't. Kate actually tagged me to do this and I figured I should probably get around to doing it. I enjoyed watching their video when it was posted, but I haven't really looked at the questions again since, so all of this is going to be off the cuff. Hopefully none of these questions are way too difficult. Oh no, what am I doing to myself? Question number 1 is, what kind of cover art immediately turns you off a book? And I don't think I actually have an answer for this. Not off the top of my head anyway. Obviously there's going to be covers out there that one should mock because they are ridiculous or whatever, but I don't think that there's an art style that I'm like, you know what, I can't actually read this because this is garbage on the outside. I definitely judged Trans Wizard Harriet Porber in the Bad Boy Parasol Office based on the cover, thinking it was going to be bad because Chuck Tingle's covers are all bad, but I actually really super loved that one. I actually did a whole reading vlog for that one, so I will link that in places for you. Number 2 is, what do you hate most on a cover that's not related to design? And ooh, this one is kind of difficult to describe because I think I just hate trends in specific. For example, it seemed like, was it last year I want to say? I don't know, time doesn't mean anything anymore, but last year there were like 10 different books coming out that had just the title and a snake on the cover, and I went, do any of these actually have snakes in them? Is anybody going to remember which one's which? Because obviously there's snakes on all these covers and you can't just be like, oh yeah, that one with the snake on the cover, because there's like 10 of them. So yeah, I guess the one thing I hate about covers is if you get a bunch that are basically the same but they're all different authors. Number 3 is, when reading a synopsis, what makes you want to yeet the book across the bookstore? That's possibly the first time I've ever used the word yeet. I'm old. Again, because apparently I'm terrible at this, there isn't like one specific thing, but anything where I start reading it and I know that the representation is going to be terrible, that's what makes me just want to throw things. For example, if you know it's not an Own Voices story and you know that the romantic lead's boyfriend or girlfriend or they friend or whatever is going to die and it's kind of just gonna be a horrible time and we're just gonna cash in on that gay grief, then I'm like, no, I don't think I really want to read this. Obviously grief stories can be beautiful. There are grief stories I really, really love, but I feel like if an author is possibly cashing in on that and isn't part of the community, then it's something that I am immediately uninterested in. Additionally, anything overtly sexist or racist or xenophobic or anything like that, right in the description, I'm gonna be like, no, I don't think I want you. Number 4 is, what trope makes you want to scream into the abyss? And I hate miscommunication. I hate the plots that are really, really strung out because people just didn't talk to each other, and the reader knows that it would be a super easy thing to clear up, but it's not cleared up because somebody had the opportunity to ask and didn't, and that's annoying. There has to be a more compelling reason for me as to why the characters don't get together or whatever it is than just miscommunication. I feel bad saying that because obviously that happens in real life and I'm not the most communicative person unless I'm typing, in which case I am overly verbose, but there it is. I hate seeing it in books even though it happens in real life. Number 5 is, what book induces rage the moment it is mentioned in your presence? And this one, it's technically the movie that enrages me, but if you mention The Dark Tower, specifically The Gunslinger, I guess, anything from the Dark Tower series, I'm gonna think about that movie that shouldn't have happened and I'm gonna get really, really mad about it. This is obviously vaguely annoying because I remember enjoying the books when I read them over a decade ago, but if you mention the books, I'm gonna think of the movie that I have to pretend doesn't exist, and I'm gonna get mad. And if you want to know why, I will link that video. I recorded that when that movie came out, and I have to pretend it didn't. Number 6 is, what could someone say when recommending a book to you that could break your trust in them? And if it's anything overly, again, homophobic or xenophobic or racist as they're trying to recommend the book to me and trying to cover it up with, you know, it was of its time so it's fine, or anything like that, or I know this isn't PC but you should read blah blah blah, I'm gonna be like, but why now? Number 7 is, what author would you like to fight? And I'm not really that big a fighter. So obviously I'm not saying that I would want to go out and punch anybody, but obviously I am not a fan of J.K. Turfling, so obviously she would be on the list. I try not to give these people the light of day in my thoughts, so I can't even actually think of anyone else, so I'm going to go to my Twitter lists and go to my do not support list and see who's on there. You know what, there's a bunch of authors on there. If you're interested to see who they are, you can check out my list, but there's nobody that I hold enough space for in my brain that I would actually want to fight them. I just know that I don't want to give them the time of day. Number 8 is what character would you like to drop kick? And just because drop kicking an actual character is such a funny mental image, that made me think of funnier books, and that made me think of the Twits, and I would like to drop kick both Mr. and Mrs. Twit because they are the worst. I revisited that book this year as an audiobook, highly recommend. Especially because that one was narrated by Richard Ayoade and he did a fantastic job. Number 9 is a super weird question, which is if Goodreads was a person, what would you bully them for? And obviously I wouldn't want to bully somebody, I would make fun of them for it, but in like a jokingly way. If we were friends, if we weren't friends, I would joke about it behind their back, I guess. I don't know. I guess everyone gossips. Okay, sure, whatever. I do hate that when I'm looking for a book and I start typing in the title, the first thing that pops up is usually a book that has nothing to do with the title that I was typing in. Also the fact that you can't do half stars, but there are other platforms that easily have put half stars into what they do. For example, Booksloth. If you want to know more about that app, I actually did an interview with the CEO and I will try to remember to link that in places. And number 10 is if you can ban anything trivial from books forever, what would it be? And let's just go with misogyny, but not like all forms of misogyny, because obviously there are different people in the world, there's going to be different people, characters that have to have flaws, that type of thing. But if I could ban the types of books that are specifically there to be malicious towards women. Rude truck. For example, I can't remember the name of the book, but I came across it while I was working in the library, and it was basically a manual about how to manipulate women and pick them up and then never call them again. And it wasn't like some comedy thing or anything like that, although I would still have problems with it. It was like a legitimate, I'm going to hurt women and I'm going to show you how type of book. And that was the first time that I thought to myself, how do I get a book out of the library? Turns out you can request that books take things off the shelves, but they very rarely do. At least that is my understanding, because I talked to the collections department about it, but I didn't actually request that they remove it. And there we go, that is the Bah Humbug tag. As I said, Kate is linked down below, all the videos that I mentioned are also linked down below, hopefully, and then I put the questions down below because I'm not a monster. If you want to do this tag, you are tagged to do the tag. Which of these opinions would you like to fight me on? Let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you're on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I recently set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that is down below, as well as the link to my PayPal and my Amazon wishlist in case you would like to buy me a book. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!